Our attention turns from thunderstorms to extreme heat. I'll let you know just how long this hot weather is going to last in southern Wisconsin momentarily.
All right, and we follow up with some Madison residents after a hazmat investigation this week rocked their neighborhood.
Plus, on this Juneteenth, the Madison Center for Black Excellence and Culture reaches a major milestone in its development. Thanks for staying with us tonight at 5, everybody. Alert day conditions. Heat could come to the region, intense heat, very soon.
Just in time for the start of summer.
Yep.
And Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington tells us just how warm it'll get out there, Alex.
It's going to feel like over 100 degrees, in some places feeling over 105 degrees. This is Saturday, now extending all the way through Monday before a cold front will bring some relief from the heat. But then we turn our attention then to strong storm chances then. But more on that heat. This is just how hot we're expecting things. Actual thermometer readings 93 Saturday, 95 Sunday. That could be a record. 92 on Monday. But of more importance is what it feels like to your body. 101 on Saturday, 105 on Sunday, and 100 on Monday in Maine weather. I'm going to let you know how hot it's going to feel at night as well. Now, we do have thunderstorm chances still in the forecast. Nothing out there on radar 3000 as we speak right now, although there is an interesting feature right now just to that's actually moving very close to the Madison area. We call this an outflow boundary. This is an area of cold air, cool air that's pushing in from some earlier showers and thunderstorms. Sometimes that can pop up a thunderstorm or two, but also in Maine weather, we will track using future tracks some thunderstorm chances before this heat moves on in.
All right, Alex, thank you. The hazmat situation that stretched across the Madison area hit closer to home for neighbors that lived right around Paul Van Duyn's home.
He and Andrea Whitaker are charged in a plot to poison Van Duyn's ex-girlfriends from Middleton and Rock County. Armand Rahman went back to Van Duyn's neighborhood today to see how residents feel.
Neighbors tell me they are relieved that the 100 block of North Spooner Street is clear and hazmat teams are out of Paul Van Duyn's home. However, the uneasiness still remains for many of them because this whole time they say they had no idea what him and Andrea Whitaker were up to in there. A state-issued warning for hazardous substances remains on the door of the house on Spooner Street. But for neighbors like Matt Connell right across the street, it's a much different warning.
I guess, you know, you just never really know someone, it feels like.
For the past 2 days, the home on Spooner Street was searched by FBI agents and Madison Fire Department's hazmat crews, along with properties in the 5600 block of Schrader Road and the 1400 block of Skyline Drive, among others. State prosecutors accuse Andrea Whitaker of being the brains of an operation to poison 43-year-old Paul Van Duyn's ex-girlfriends with cyanide. Whitaker was intercepted removing items from Paul's home on Spooner Street, some of which may have been dangerous.
I mean, just saw him, waved. No real conversations, you know, we're a lot closer to neighbors here and across the street, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, felt like the neighbor over here kept to himself. For something like that to happen in your neighborhood is definitely crazy, and to hear all the rumors circling around, you know, just not knowing what to make of it.
Van Duyn is expected to make his first appearance in court Friday, along with Whitaker. Reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Armand, thank you. Van Duyn is facing charges of attempted homicide. Whitaker is currently facing charges of harboring and aiding a felon, but prosecutors expect that to be upgraded to co-conspirator to attempted homicide.
Meijer is recalling certain packages of Frederick's dark chocolate almonds. The company says they may also contain dark chocolate-covered cashews, which are not declared on the label. The recall covers Frederick's dark chocolate almonds in black stand-up pouches sold at Meijer stores in 6 states, including here in Wisconsin. The products have sell-by dates of May 7th or May 28th, 2026. Also covered are 8-count, 1.5-ounce multi-pack boxes with a sell-by date of May 5th of 2026.
An internet provider will pay Wisconsin $450,000 to settle allegations that it misrepresented its monthly prices. The Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection says between April of 2015 and December of 2017, CenturyLink advertised a fixed monthly subscription cost for its services, but the company charged additional monthly fees. As part of the settlement, CenturyLink will not admit fault, but the company will no longer charge the extra fees to Wisconsinites.
The Wisconsin State Assembly has approved a collection of bipartisan bills. One of those is Assembly Bill 201, also known as Braden's Law. The bill is named after Braden Bone, who took his own life after being targeted by an organized sextortion ring. It creates new penalties for the crime of sextortion and allows those who cause death by suicide as part of a sextortion scheme to be charged with felony murder. It also makes a victim of sextortion or their family eligible for payment from the DOJ's Crime Victim Compensation Fund. The legislature's Budget Writing Committee will not meet today after a meeting cancellation. Committee members were supposed to take up the Elections Commission, agriculture, child welfare, and more. Senate Majority Leader Devin Lemahue says discussions with the governor started again this week and were in good faith, but, quote, these discussions are heading in a direction that taxpayers cannot afford.
Student visa appointments are set to resume, but rules going forward will be more strict. New State Department guidance now requires embassies to screen applicants for what they're calling hostile attitudes towards the U.S. This will include a full review of their online presence, including search histories and social media activity. Officials say they're looking for views in support of terrorism, anti-Semitic content, or signs that an applicant might undermine national security. UW-Madison says it's aware of the appointments resuming, saying, quote, visa applicants can expect to be required to set all social media to public and to have online presence.
The Wisconsin Realtors Association says home sales in the state fell for a third straight month. Their new report shows sales dropped 2.7% compared to the first 5 months of 2024. It comes as the median home price rose to $325,000. That's a 6.8% jump from the same time period. The WRA says the pace of the drop was moderate, and Wisconsin's housing inventory is on the upswing, seeing 22,000 homes on the market in May.
Home renovation costs are rising, and that's because of tariffs. Among the biggest impacts, 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum that could affect roofs, plumbing, and electrical equipment, as well as HVAC systems. Almost a quarter of the country's available lumber supply comes from Canada, and Canada now faces a nearly 15% tariff. New appliances, tiles, even window parts could also cost more.
If you were to do one project, painting is usually really nice to freshen things up. New flooring, you can definitely avoid the tariffs just by the different companies that are producing flooring.
Experts say if you're tackling a remodeling project on a budget, prioritize plumbing and utilities over finishing countertops.
Today is Juneteenth, and people across the country are gathering to mark the occasion. You're looking at the Juneteenth Jubilee Parade in Milwaukee. That's one of America's oldest Juneteenth celebrations. Fort Worth, Texas also honored Juneteenth with the Opal Lee Walk for Freedom. Dr. Lee began the annual tradition of marching 2.5 miles to symbolize the 2.5 years it took for enslaved people in Texas to learn about their newfound freedom.
She's a grandmother to all of us, and I love her for what she has done for us, for just empowering the emancipation even more. So I love her for that. Thank you, Miss Oprah Lee. I look up to you. I admire her.
Now, the 98-year-old did not walk this year because of health concerns. President Biden signed legislation in 2021 making Juneteenth an official national holiday with Dr. Lee that year in attendance.
Well, from last Juneteenth to this year, the Center for Black Excellence and Culture has risen from the ground up. The 37,000 square foot building will feature multiple performance spaces, a youth space with meeting rooms, a women's center, and more. Founder Reverend Dr. Alex G. announced exactly 1 year after the groundbreaking, they have raised all of the $31 million needed to pay for the center's ongoing construction.
This represents hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of black people who have not left Madison, who have not fled, who have not gone to the South, who have dug into this sacred soil to say, we're going to make Madison better for our community. So to do this and have this announced on Juneteenth Day shows that our history is not just backwards, it's still in the making.
The building, which sits on part of West Badger Road, is set to open in 6 months. Still to come tonight at 5, there's a new breakthrough in HIV prevention.
And President Trump is waiting to make a final decision on joining Israel in attacking Iran. This as the two countries continue to trade attacks. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Well, President Trump does not appear to be giving up on diplomacy as he weighs whether to join Israel in its offensive against Iran.
As the president considers his options, Israel and Iran continue to strike each other. Erica Brown reports from the White House.
The White House says President Trump is waiting to make a final decision on whether to attack Iran. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt read a direct quote from the president this afternoon.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
Multiple sources tell CBS News the president believes disabling Fordow, Iran's most secure nuclear site, is necessary because of the risk of Iran producing nuclear weapons in a relatively short period of time.
Let's be very clear. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon.
Israel has targeted Fordow, but doesn't have the heavy weaponry the U.S. could provide.
If you talk to Israelis on the street, they would really like to see the Americans come in, but if the Americans don't come in, I think there's confidence that Israel's going to be able to do some damage to that facility on its own.
In what may be an attempt to influence the president's thinking on the conflict, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered remarks in English Thursday saying he trusted President Trump's judgment on Iran.
They strung him along. You don't string along Donald Trump. He knows the game. And I think that we're both committed to making sure that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Netanyahu made the comments while visiting a hospital in southern Israel that was hit by an Iranian airstrike Thursday, injuring dozens. A large number of Israelis were also hurt in a missile attack on high-rise buildings outside Tel Aviv. It comes as Israel said it struck a heavy water reactor in Iran. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
And SpaceX suffers another setback. A SpaceX Starship exploded in a huge fireball last night, just minutes before a test firing of its engine down in Texas. Elon Musk's company said on social media that it experienced a, quote, major anomaly. In May, a Starship test flight ended abruptly when the rocket spun out of control and broke up, sending debris into the Indian Ocean.
SpaceX has had a real string of these failures, and it's raising questions about whether or not they will be ready to supply the lander, the moon lander that NASA's ordered to put astronauts on the moon in just about 2 to 3 years.
Now, SpaceX said no one was hurt in this latest incident. There are no hazards to residents in the surrounding communities.
The FDA has approved the world's only twice-a-year shot to prevent HIV. The vaccine is marketed under the name Yes2Go and can be used by both men and women. 2 clinical trials show the injection is nearly 100% effective at stopping new HIV infections. The medical breakthrough comes as the Trump administration eyes deep cuts to HIV prevention funding.
I spoke to a spokeswoman today from Gilead. She said it's going to be about $28,000 a year at list price. But they're making all sorts of efforts, she said, to make it more widely available to everyone. But the problem, of course, is in the United States, we have decreased support from federal programs, both inside the United States and abroad, for HIV prevention.
It's unclear how much insurance would cover the cost of the shot. There are still more than 30,000 new infections of HIV in the U.S. every year.
Alert day conditions for heat are in the forecast for the weekend.
Alex Harrington is here to tell us how hot things will get. And you're keeping an eye on a couple rain showers too, Alex.
Couple rain showers too. Any rain that we get, any thunderstorms that we get between now going into the weekend, that's going to add more water for the atmosphere to make things feel even more on the sticky side as we go into the weekend. Heat index values above 100 for all of southern Wisconsin. Saturday, Sunday, we added Monday as well, out ahead of that cold front, likely have that sizzling heat in the area. Now, it's all part of the 3 things you need to know. A couple storms, as Susan said, tonight and Friday, not expecting widespread severe weather. Then the muggy stuff, the hot stuff comes in this weekend. Temperatures in the 90s with those heat index values again approaching 100 to 105, if not above 105 degrees. We have what's called an outflow boundary moving through our area, radar 3000. I call it out. I'll draw it here for you because sometimes these outflow boundaries can spark thunderstorms. This is a cool pool of air from earlier showers and storms. Look to the north and east. It's only in the 70s over towards Watertown, but then you got middle 80s to the south and west of that boundary. We'll keep an eye on that boundary. Not thinking we will see thunderstorms pop up on that boundary, but some storms in north central Wisconsin will work their way to the south and towards the east. Perhaps Juneau, Adams, Marquette, Green Lake counties picking up the chance of a strong storm around 10 o'clock, but watch what happens. fizzles out as it moves to the south and towards the east. Better chances for one more round of showers and thunderstorms as a cluster of storms comes in out of Minnesota into southern Wisconsin during the morning hours. Can't rule out some gusty winds and hail, but heavy rain would be the main threat. Again, this is adding more water to the atmosphere that would then provide more fuel for those humid conditions this weekend. Strong storm chances are low tonight and Friday, but gusty winds, hail, and heavy rain again. We can't rule that out, with the best chance on Friday with that cluster. Next week, heads up, first to let you know, it looks very unsettled with good rain chances and possibility of flooding rains. Now the heat. 101 Saturday, 105 Sunday, 100 Monday. That's the heat index value with actual air temperatures in the 90s. We have an extreme heat watch to the west and southwest Wisconsin and for the Milwaukee metropolitan area, where population is more condensed and more susceptible to heat-related concerns. Heat advisory likely will be issued for all of southern Wisconsin. Want to call this out too. 95 on Sunday for high temperature. The record set back in 1988 was 96, and we very well could be very close to that record. And then overnight, record warm lows. These are low temperatures that are very warm and very uncomfortable. We're forecasting near 80 degrees. And to add to that at nighttime, if you don't get a break during the day and you don't have air conditioning or a way to cool down at night, your body doesn't get that opportunity to reset and cool down. And over days, that adds up and increases the chance for heat-related illness. With overnight heat index values, that's the feels like factor, staying in the 80s to near 90 degrees. So now's the time. I know we get heat in Wisconsin, I get that, but heat is a serious thing. It is dangerous. Now's the time to locate where's the fan, is my AC working and ready to rock and roll, and if you need to be outside this weekend, limit that time and hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Muggy tonight with that slight chance of a storm chance, better chances on Friday as that warm, humid air moves into the area. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, alert day conditions, and that unsettled period. Not going to be shocked next week to have alert day conditions, and we could be looking at some flooding rains in and close to the area. Busy time ahead for weather for southern Wisconsin.
All right, indeed, Alex, thank you. After the break at 5, providing a new form of therapy, why one farm across the pond has shifted away from milking its cows to mingling with them. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Well, floods and food prices have pushed a dairy farm down an unusual path to turn a profit.
It's one that has cows doing more mingling than milking. Tina Kraus with the story from London.
Fiona Wilson loves feeding her cows on a farm in England that has been in her family for generations.
We started off as a dairy farm, basically, from the early 1970s when my dad bought this farm. So basically, all my life, I milked cows.
But with the economy squeezing profits, Fiona's farm is trading cream for cuddles.
You just kind of sink in.
Inviting visitors to snuggle up with cows that are now more pampered than productive.
They are so gentle, just like big dogs. It's really special.
For $125, guests get up to 4 hours of bonding time, an experience they say is quite moving.
Really warm, really supportive. She just loves the cuddle, you can just tell, as you're stroking her.
Farmers say it took about 6 months to teach cows how to lay down and enjoy the love.
When they come in here, they know what's going to happen. As you can see, they're like being pampered.
It's like really connecting.
What began as a creative pivot to survive has grown into something bigger. Visitors enjoy a post-cuddle safari, a journey that helps fund a conservation project protecting local wildlife. A family farm proving that resourcefulness and a lot of heart can lead to big returns for everyone. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
For $125 a cuddle?
Buys a lot of milk.
We got to do that in Wisconsin for sure. Well, the outcome is not always good, of course, when a wild animal is injured. But thanks to a group of Gen Zers and their social media stream, a lot of these animals have found a new home. Maya Higa is the Gen Z Jane Goodall at her nonprofit Alvia Sanctuary. She teaches visitors about these unique animals, but this is not a public zoo. She live streams on Twitch Twitch. And with 24/7 cameras in every enclosure, she gets about 30 million online visitors a year.
You can watch them eat, you can watch them interact with their enrichment and toys and stuff. They can't live in the wild. Their options are either, unfortunately, be euthanized or stay here and teach people.
Now the sanctuary has grown to 11 staff members, some who specialize in nutrition and others who edit videos and monitor Twitch. The sanctuary is hoping to double in size in the near future.
And Alex is back. A final check of your forecast after a short break.
Coming up tonight at 6, Madison Center for Black Excellence and Culture reaches a major milestone. On this Juneteenth day, we'll have that story and more coming up at the top of the hour. Hope you'll join us for News 3 Now at 6.
Now, the world's most famous, frightening, fictional shark turns 50 tomorrow. The legendary hit film Jaws hit theaters June 20th of 75. The film has been noted by many as the forerunner of modern Hollywood and put director Steven Spielberg on the map.
Jaws has always been blamed for creating shark phobia, making some people terrified of swimming in the ocean. The movie rights for Jaws were purchased for roughly $175,000. It cost $12 million to make and grossed $267 million at the box office.
They called that shark Bruce. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know
The mechanical shark during filming was Bruce. That was Spielberg's lawyer.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's why the shark in Nemo was Bruce, the great white. So a little trivia for you there.
We need him on the next trivia.
I learned that watching Finding Nemo. So anyway, forecast looking hot for the weekend.
Hot for the weekend. Temperatures up around 95 for this weekend and 105-degree heat index. Can't rule out a storm tonight, but a lot of those storms are fizzling with our weather models. Better chance for a storm Friday morning before the heat really turns out, and you'll feel the humidity crank up by the time we get to later Friday with the dangerous heat lasting through Monday. And at 6, little climatology about hot weather in southern Wisconsin.
Oh, interesting. Looking forward to that. Thanks, Alex.
Right. And coming up next, the CBS Evening News. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6.
You can always find us streaming on Channel 3000+.